This will be the first video in the series for CISC 133, LAN switching and wireless. This lab will be about giving an IP address to a switch. So it's a pretty simple configuration here. The packet tracer topology that I provided has a router, a switch, and two workstations. The workstations, as you can see, already have IP addresses. They're 192.168.1.2 with the default gateway of 1.254. This workstation is 1.1 and the router is 1.254. The switch does not have an IP address yet. So before we could begin this lab, you need to ask yourself, have you ever given a switch an IP address up to this point? And you probably have not. So then the question arises, then why do I have to give a switch an IP address? Which is an excellent question. Switches by function don't need an IP address. But if I wanted to manage that switch or communicate with that switch, I need to be able to connect to him. And in IP networks, that means we got to have an IP address. So the only reason a switch has to have an IP address is so that we can access that device from another device. And it's a relatively simple process. So just like with the router, we get enable mode, config T, and there's a special interface called VLAN 1, which is not any one specific interface. So with a router, you need an IP address on every interface that you might have. Well, with the switch, you might have 48 interfaces, and you don't want to put an IP address on every interface. The entire switch just needs one IP address. It doesn't need 48. So interface VLAN 1 accesses all ports that belong to VLAN 1, and by default all ports on a switch belong to VLAN 1. So I access the interface VLAN 1 prompt, and then I just give it an address, just like I do on a router, with a mask. So this is the same command that we have with a router, and we got to do a no shut. And hopefully we should be able to ping it. So we will try that. Okay, and there we go. So go ahead and do this in your lab, and that'll be it for this first video.